Welcome back to the next video. A lot of people think that woodworking is a very expensive hobby. So I'm gonna do a little project today and I'm gonna just make, surprise, a cutting board. I just wanna show what you can get done with just a table saw is pretty impressive. So I'm not gonna use anything except the table saw to cut apart this. I'm gonna put them on a sled, on a table saw, then I'm just gonna set a stop here. We're gonna bump this up too. We're gonna boom. Slide it back to the stop. Boom. But none of these pieces are connected. I'm just going to use tape. I'm going to wrap tape around all the pieces. I'm going to set them all up and see what it looks like. You know, I'm not going to do the epoxy thing. I'm just going to use like a Titebond 2. Reasonable. We are really going to try to do this with just a table saw and like a palm sander. That's it. I will use a table saw sled, or you can just use a miter gauge. Doesn't really matter. That's the plan. Let's go do it. 2-tool project. Table saw and sander. And a thing of electrical tape with some glue. Let's make an end grain cutting board. Okay, so like I said, we're gonna try to do an actual 2-tool project, just using an old cutoff from an old project, hard maple, and a sander with some pretty aggressive sandpaper. Just gonna cut them all same width from here, using a little offset piece, and then just tape around and just pull it tight and see how it works. It might not work at all, but if it does, I hope that it shows you that woodworking doesn't have to be intimidating and it doesn't have to be expensive. You don't have to have a table saw like this. So let's get started. First thing I need to grab is my sled. Table saw sled videos out there. The cool thing about this technique is that it doesn't require math, it doesn't require tape measures, it doesn't require clamp. I am going to actually use one clamp to hold a little spacer piece here to make sure that these cuts are safe and they're not going to like having some kind of a push stick or something to clear the pieces with will definitely be helpful. I am going to put a box here to catch the pieces just so they don't hit the floor, because I want to kind of keep these as sharp as I can. One clean cut just to get straight edge. The first thing I want to do is set up a little stop guide. As we come up to cut pieces, this is going to be the stop that we're working towards, so that as pieces cut and drop off, there's going to be a 1/2 inch gap between the blade and the fence, allowing me to use these push sticks to clear them into the box. Lock it down, and we don't have dust collection, so we just kind of gotta deal with it. So now we have a straight line, and every cut that we make now is going to give us a certain thickness piece. Let's go to 2 so that our board will be about 1.5 inches thick. That's pretty standard. Here we go. Essentially what we're going to do, I do need to sand each of these pieces to dust off each of the edges. if the tape will be enough to clamp an end grain cutting board. Wah, wah, wah. So a problem here will definitely be keeping this as flat as possible, but one way to find out, let's pull this as tight as I possibly can. This is just cheap electric tape from Harbor Freight. So pull as I push this in. Pull really tight. Keep pulling tight. Alright, made it one revolution. Well, I mean, it's not like the greatest pressure, but we'll keep going. I mean, it is getting tighter in here. Best thing would be to keep it up here. It's a little small, but actually, I'm going to pull away from here. A little lower. Allows me to actually square this thing up. Putting this tape on the lower side. Really tight. I mean, it ain't perfect, but I think it's working. Alright, well, I'll get this off of here. Oop. Huh. A lot of movement for a bunch of separate bricks. Pressure across this whole direction. Do a couple more of those. Do a couple around the other way. Everything kind of pressed back down where it was. Alright, I've never glued anything up like this, so I'm curious to see if it worked. We will see. Now, we're just going to go set it out in the sun. First clamp, second clamp, third clamp. Well, we got a few gaps. It's expected. This is a very non-traditional way to clamp up wood. Doesn't look terrible. Yeah, there's a couple big ones. Not that bad. But you know what? This doesn't look that bad. I'd say that this kind of works. I mean, it stayed relatively flat. That's good. Okay, let's put the old sander to her. Sandy Bandy. To just get some of... For what it is, it's starting to look pretty darn good. Some end grain hard maple, all wonky. Let's get after it. Are pretty far off, and it's gonna not be something you can see that easily. So, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna lower the blade to where it's just above the sled. So about like that. Just above. Alright, so see, this side and this side, these are the high sides, so I'm just gonna knock this one down. Then I'll be able to go back to sanding, and it should be alright. Okay, well that feels way better. like it. You're definitely gaining. So now, we're gonna just do the old dangerous flattening method on the top, because I don't feel like messing around. So let's do it. So you can see we got some good sized ones on this side. We're gonna try and fill using this little method. Was the guy just put a little glue in these cracks and then sanded? So that's all I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put a little bit of water. What she does. All right, so we're getting into a better part where we can start to see kind of this thing start taking form. What we're gonna do is we need to find pretty much the straightest edge. So this is gonna be the first edge that we start with. This edge will go against the fence. Here we go. So the last thing that I am going to do is I'm going to put a small little bit of detail on it just by beveling the edges. How I'm going to do that is I'm going to first lower this blade, then I will be turning it to an angle. It doesn't matter, again, what the angle is. It's kind of like the free-for-all practice. 35 degrees. We'll set our fence, cut just a fraction off on both sides, here, top and bottom. And grand cutting board made in afternoon. Nice and flat, just a bevel on it, do a little laser engraved. And I hope you liked it. And I hope you liked watching it. So, I guess it worked. This is a pretty nice cutting board. It's an end grain, it's maple, it's nice, it's good and sealed, it's waxed. It's got a little gigantic laser engrave on this side, basically to just cover up that big gap. But yeah, this is humble woodworking. You don't need a $3,000 table saw. You don't need a $1,000 table saw. Anything above $100 will work. My first table saws were pawn shops, $100 each. But I mean, for a table saw and tape, I mean, you could, this is nice. I'd buy this. A little bevel. But it's end grain. This could be a business. I mean, this would probably sell for $50 with an engraving on it. $100. When you start woodworking and you start realizing that you can make everything, everything that you need, it's a power. It's like a superpower, and it's really special. And I hope you try it. I hope you try to make an end grain tape board, a tape 10 grain board. Cut something, make anything, and just really enjoy the process. And the cool thing about it is you'll want to do it again. Like, I already want to do this again. I already want to make another one of these, and I want to make it better. But to do that, you have to start. You got to get out there and get going. And so I got to give a quick shout out to my buddy Mike over at MJL Woodworks for putting out a video about just getting out there and getting started. Because if I didn't watch that, I wouldn't have done this, and I wouldn't have recorded all this. So go check him out. Go out to your shop, or go start a shop, or just make a couple little things. I'm telling you, it's so fun. It's so satisfying. Check out woodworking. It's awesome. Get out there and try to make something. It's doable. Yes, the laser bit, that's not part of the tool project part. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're motivated. I hope that Mike's motivation that motivated me will translate to you and help you get out into your shop, or get out and just start making different little things, even if it's in your living room. Have a great day, and thanks again for watching.